Okay, it is August 20th, and we are broadcasting live from beautiful Austin, Texas, after a rendezvous in Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. We have a great guest today. We're going to talk carbon, sustainability, change the world. And we have our own John Sibley Butler, who will start us with some music.
Once I lived the life of a millionaire, spending my money, I really didn't care. Took all my friends out to have a good time. Bought them champagne and bourbon, beer and wine. But in 44, I began to fall down low. I didn't have a friend, a place to go. It's mighty strange, but without a doubt, nobody loves you when you're down and out. Nobody loves you
All right.
when you're down and out. In your pocket, not one penny. And your friends, you can't find any. If I ever get my hand on a dollar again, I hope I don't see my long life friends without a strange, without a doubt. Nobody knows you when you're down and out. A little song my grandfather used to sing.
All right. All right. I haven't heard that one. That's a new one, Johnny.
Well,
Hey,
it's
Johnny,
about 1934, about 1934.
the world is going full throttle, man. Robotics everywhere. Sony just released a new PlayStation 5, crypto everywhere. The Chinese are talking about a new cryptocurrency. Google announced their new AI-powered Pixel 10 smartphone. Palantir stock crashing 20%. NVIDIA and Bill Gates backed robotics startup hits $2 billion valuation. AI everywhere, Johnny. What is going on?
All of that is baby stuff and peanuts compared to what the Chinese have done. We have spent billions of billions of billions of dollars for cell towers, and they have made cell towers obsolete by launching a series of satellites that go directly to your cell phone, and you can have service sitting in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean or in the middle of any country. So, you know, back in 2019, when we put a stop to sending, well, we limited the number of chips going to China. Well, they turned around and did their own thing, and their own thing is to build a satellite system from space to do away with cell towers. Have you heard that, my guest, or Jose? Have you heard that?
I've heard about the satellite part. Yes, I've heard it from that Elon was trying to do something about
so
that.
I think what happens, that makes our entire system of creating the network that business run on very, very different. You know, we just live now in a connected society of telephones, cell phones, automobiles. Everything is very, very smart. But we sort of depended upon that cellular kind.
Yeah.
But now, I think the Chinese have changed that. I think that's going to be wild when we really take a look at it. And the other thing, of course, is that if you look at what's happening, yes, in America in general, I think that the president is forcing a lot of entrepreneurship, a lot of return to raw materials, the importance of minerals, the importance of all of these things, that we kind of stopped digging in. And we would cut down trees in Seattle and Washington, and then send them to China to be quote processed, right? And then
Mm,
we would. So I think that the country's changing. I think that Western civilization is changing. I think that China, and I always say on the program, should not be scandalized, but we should learn and we should cooperate. What I really don't understand is why the Chinese talking about enterprises and building enterprise roads. Really, America's talking about war. So I find that very interesting. And so, Andreas, let's talk about job loss and
mm-hmm.
AI. You're right, it is really going on. But remember also, with all of the big data, if you don't know what to ask for, if you don't know what to ask AI for, you're back right where you were. We just call it garbage in and garbage
Sure.
out. So, it's kind of like the big census data set. We used to call that big data for the census, right? And we would
Mm-hmm.
have all the questions that we need to ask. But if you didn't ask the right questions, what are you asking? Andreas, I don't know if you can find it, but there's a chart about the use of AI. When it first
Mm-hmm.
came out, it was way up here, and then the usage dropped tremendously. I ran across that somewhere. But I tell you what, as jobs are destroyed, jobs are also being created. But I tell you,
Totally,
it,
totally.
it is, yeah, it's a little different this time, but jobs themselves are being created. And when you do that, then it kind of forces the country to rethink everything, including the concept of education. And I've always said I believe everybody should play classical guitar, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
I also believe in the core disciplines. I believe in economics. I believe in psychology. I believe in sociology. I believe in engineering. I believe in philosophy. I believe in anthropology because this is where, you know, everything came from. So we need to always be aware that when we're educated, we don't just strictly pay attention to what I call the education of the trade school traditions. Because we all know that computer science came from Aristotle's logic, for example. We know that engineering came from mathematics. And so we must pay attention to the core disciplines because we are really being driven back to the core discipline. What that means is this. You can go learn and do something and all of a sudden it's obsolete. So
Mm-hmm.
for example, why have a school that concentrates on doing web pages 30 years ago? 40 years ago. And all
Yeah.
of a sudden those web pages are obsolete. So I think that'll be a big trend in education. I also think the trend in private education is picking up. There's a school here in Austin, Texas that you only go to 2 hours a week, and it's called the AI school. You're completely taught by AI. Isn't that
Mm-hmm.
crazy? And
Yeah.
then this then
Look,
that
look at this chart, Johnny, on the competing products.
yeah.
And it started in, 2022, now second quarter of 2025. And they're all, it's a race, man. It's a race.
hmm It is a race, right? And with all new technologies, everybody's kind of jumping on this. This is artificial analysis quality index. Wow, that's good stuff right there. That is real good stuff. But what happens if all of that is disrupted?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
For I think that
and then of course,
those
if it's
races are
disrupted,
never real.
yeah.
You
What
never
do you
know
mean?
who's winning. You never know who's winning because
Oh no, it's you'll be winning. It's like a 24-hour race like in Le Mans, right? You can be winning now and then you got to go in the pit and then the guy next guy is winning. So it's
Yeah.
back and forth. But before we talk about your thoughts, let me introduce you to everybody. So Jose Liccardo is the CEO and co-founder of Globusterra. And Globusterra's vision is to consolidate the use and transparent trading of carbon credits through specialized advice to landowners for the control, monitoring, and traceability of their emissions. in real time to encourage the use of more and better sustainable practices. So welcome to the show, Jose, and let us know a little bit about you and your company and maybe your
I'll do a
thoughts on.
resume of that long thing that you just said. We're in few words, we wanna transact with carbon credits you can trust, which is
There you
our
go.
theme. So
There you go.
if we want people to be comfortable doing business with a carbon credit that is produced by us. That's exactly what we want. And
Got it.
it sounds simple, but in the real world it's very hard.
Yeah. And I'm curious, Jose, are you guys using AI at all in your business?
We use AI
Thinking about it?
in checking. No, we use AI for documents. We use AI for some of the initial like calculus that we do regarding the start of the projects. We do use the
Okay.
AI to do a pre-valuation.
Got
Of
it.
course, AI has not gotten there to the point that we could actually do a whole project through AI, but at least the first glimpse of the project, yes, we can do.
Okay.
Wow. Well, let me ask you this. I mean, I guess what you do would give companies an incentive, right? Not to pollute, huh? I mean, because they could sell it to you, right? And talk about that. Talk about the incentives that's important for
So
uh
for our business model integrates landowners with polluters, let's say. So
yeah.
our projects are nature based. What we do is we preserve or preserve or replant forestry. So we're a conservation company that gets gets their money through carbon credits.
Okay. So let me ask you
So
this. What's is there any regulation that's having an impact on your company now? Any new
what
regulations from the present
regulation?
government? Yeah.
Not really, because we're a European based company,
Mm-hmm.
and we sell the carbon credits in Europe. So although it doesn't help that there's a different perspective here in the US, it doesn't really hurt us.
Well, talk to me about the different perspectives in US and Europe. If you were
Well,
operating in US.
um, the what I think is that um, most of the carbon credits that are sold in the US have been done through different variations of the production of the carbon credits, mean chemically or through processes, and it because of the type of land that is in the US and the price of the land, probably is not worth doing the nature-based carbon credits. So they don't really know the impact of the carbon credit industry in the nature-based part for
Mm-hmm.
the US. So because I'm not into like IREX and all that, the solar and all that, it's a different perspective. Because you can say, I know there is the perception of that, does it really work?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I could fight all day that it does work. And you can say it doesn't work. But what I am sure, and that's why I'm in this part of the business, is that saving a forest is worthwhile. So
Yeah.
if you want to fight with me that it works or it doesn't work, we are for sure agreeing that saving a forest is good for the environment, and it's good for the world, and it's good for everyone.
So I know that we have carbon in America also. When you compare the two industries in America, because I think we can do that in America. You're just not doing business in America. Because I think both Europe and America could play in this industry, right? So when you get together in the international meetings, how do you compare America? Where are we? I mean, is Europe leading? Is America behind? Where is China?
I love America. I think we in America do business faster than anywhere else in the world. I
Okay.
am sure of that. People in Europe take their time to make business, which I'm not saying it's bad, but it's way different than how it's done here.
Okay.
And here things are done fast, and if it doesn't work, you iterate and start over and do it again. But like you do the errors fast and change. In Europe, it'll probably take 6 months to get to a point where like, oh, we screwed up. We need to do it again. Here in the US, maybe in a month, you'll be doing it again differently.
So what I hear you saying is that, as Louis Ellen said last time when we were on, are you growing? I mean, what's your growth rate? Are you growing? Do you have the traditional hockey stick with your business, or is it level, or what's going on there?
Well, in my case in particular, for the last 3 years,
for
we
the
have
industry,
grown.
for the industry, not necessarily your case.
For the industry, probably it has grown practically the same in the whole world. Because even though the concept is very old, the actual business model has grown faster lately because of the changes of the rules. So everybody's starting over, let's say. So the growth is probably more or less the same for everyone.
And underneath your business model is compliance, right?
Of course.
Yeah,
and there is good compliance in America and good compliance in Europe.
Right, and you don't have to worry about the policies because everybody loves trees, right?
That's what I say. Like, we cannot argue about what I'm doing. You can say whatever regarding climate change or whatever, but what I'm doing for sure is good for the world.
So
we'll never fight about that.
So I would ask the traditional company, what keeps you awake at night? What's your biggest concern? Everybody loves trees. Everybody's trying to save the planet.
My biggest concern is to not do it fast enough. My biggest concern is to not do it fast enough. Yeah.
Oh, so it's speed. Okay. Yeah, I think that's. I think you're sure. So when you look at your contribution to saving the planet, and talk to me about the planting of trees and bringing the planet back, and how that relates to your business, your enterprises. How many forests are being reforested in Europe, and how that impact your enterprise and that kind of stuff.
So the backstory, most of the projects that have been done to save forests are all done through donations and grants that have, which is what worries me. When you're in a business where you depend on donations and government grants, that thing has an end date. That project has an end date. In the case of the carbon credit business, it funds itself. So for 30, 40 years, you will have a continuous amount of money streaming in that would actually pay for it. So that's why I say, like, my only worry is not to do it fast enough, because once it starts, it should go on for forever, or at least 50 years.
So
I don't know if that answers your questions, but
yes, it does. So I would guess that the country that sells the most carbon credits would be in South America, maybe not in. I mean, what's the country that sells the most?
Most of these companies are European companies.
Okay.
Do they have their projects in South America? Yes. Do they have projects in Africa? Of course. But they're based in Europe, because most of it started there, and most of the knowledge, universities got involved, and most of the let's say the initial background to support all this came from Europe.
Okay. So America came to the party a little late, huh?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And you know, I didn't know that. Was that due to the party structure? I mean, was it due to all of a sudden the politicians in America saying, "Hey, let us also save the planet"? I don't think I ever knew that. I thought it was an American thing.
I think it had to do with some there was a global agreement into doing this, and
Okay.
once they were on board, then they started being part of it. Before they were not on board, and say Europe had head start, then they went on board and started, let's say, growing together.
I'm going to ask a question way out of line. What if individuals could purchase carbon
Huh?
credits? What if individuals, rather than big companies, could purchase carbon credits?
Individuals can purchase carbon credits.
Okay, I don't have to belong to a large firm or a large corporation.
If you want, let's say when you buy a ticket, you can right there pay for the carbon credits for them,
Yeah.
to mitigate the carbon footprint that you just produced.
Yeah, but what if
You
I, as an
can
individual,
as an individual, do it.
yeah, I understand that, but what if I,
You
as an
can,
individual, want to buy carbon credits? Andreas, can I do that? No.
if you have
I
a
think
trading
so.
account, probably you would. Yeah. If you have a trading account, you can do it. Like if
Okay.
any, like buying any commodity, like buying any commodity.
I
You
mean,
can do it
the
through
key of that
StoneX.
would be the key of that would be to tokenize the carbon credit.
Which is actually what
Tokenized.
I'm having a meeting about that in a week.
If you tokenize the carbon credit, then it's as good as gold, meaning
Wow.
it's fungible, verifiable. So there's a question here that says, are we calling the value proposition trustable, incentivized, earth-based carbon credits?
What was it again?
Are we calling the value proposition trustable, incentivized, earth-based carbon credits?
Yes, of course. If you have something you can trust, it incentivizes it to grow, obviously.
Right.
Because it's gonna be
So
fine. It's gonna have funding.
then the
Nobody
follow-up
trusts it.
the
If nobody
follow-up
trusts,
yeah, the follow-up question is, can my believers in the churches sell faith-based carbon credits or good life credits to others who don't practice the faith?
That sounds like Lou Allen wrote that.
I think maybe this is a skeptic. But I
well,
think
you don't have to
the
say.
notion. So Jose,
Like, to
where
answer
is
that question in a very pragmatic way, you may not sell the faith, but you can put money into a project where you're feeding people, and then you will see it and be able to actually feel that you're doing something good. Would be the way to translate my projects to faith.
right, because the project is not only about carbon credit, but it's also about the community that is enabling.
Exactly.
And that could be internet access to the people, water, electricity, education, food,
and saving
eating,
the environment,
good health.
of course.
But you
Exactly.
know, this is where I quantify it. So when I go to the airport and I can check that, I'm really paying so that the carbon footprint would be offset, right? That's what I'm doing.
Yes.
Correct.
That's exactly what it's all about, right?
Yeah, and the airlines have been selling that for a long time. You don't
Yeah.
realize it when you're clicking, but it's there. You can buy for your ticket that you're purchasing the offset in carbon credits.
So why would I do that?
Well, because you want to feel good about not hurting the earth.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? The way I think about it is just that. That is what I do is to offset, the carbon footprint.
To me,
If I crank up something in my car and I'm doing a bad thing and I have a good feeling about, okay, when I buy this gas, I'm gonna spend $5 and offset the.
It's like if you think about it, I mean, why do we buy insurance, really? I mean,
Well, when my house burned down, buy insurance.
yeah, but I mean, you have insurance for, when you travel, you have insurance when you rent, you have insurance in your house, in your car, you have insurance for your life. So when you think about it, maybe other than life, which is a sure thing, right? If you're an actuarian, I mean, the insurance companies are the best return on investment based paid companies because, you know, this,
Well, let's get ridiculous here. So let's say that I've got 10,000 cows, right?
right,
That's breaking gas, right?
right, right.
And I mean, and so people would say, yeah, all this carbon stuff is about, just paying for the gas that cows are polluting, you know,
Right.
when they break gas. I mean, it's the same thing when I get on an airplane. Okay, that's the carbon footprint. So I guess the big question has always been to me, who's the biggest violation and has the biggest carbon footprint? Is it the airplane? Is it my automobile? I mean, what should I feel guilty about? Andreas?
I don't think guilty does move the planet. Guilt does move the planet, but I feel like being more proactive and not just feeling the guilt will probably help more.
Well, Andreas just said I'm gonna feel guilty about flying in the airplane. So
Right.
we're not guilty, make me feel good, right? So when we rank things, you know what my next question would be, what if we went all electric? What would that do?
Mm-hmm.
Is the carbon footprint
Well,
being
may
reduced?
depends on the process that make the all electric happen.
Right. The answer to that is when you go all electric, they have to get the power for the electric power plant from somewhere. So you're back to
Yeah.
Exactly.
you're back to oil and gas, you're
The
back
the
to
the the thing
petroleum.
is being more efficient, not more electric or less electric. If
Hmm.
you can actually manage to use efficiently the energy, then you're helping.
Hmm.
If you're burning half of the fuel and it goes nowhere, then you're not being efficient. That's why I
Okay.
do think electric can help because you're using efficiently the energy. But it
Okay.
doesn't mean that to produce it, you're not having a carbon footprint.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's interesting because we haven't gotten to the point where we advertise. I guess we have. Is this why people buy electric cars? Because they feel and this is, I mean, is it driving consumer behavior yet? I mean,
Oh
what's
yeah.
going on here? I
Oh
mean, and
yeah.
how does that affect your industry, the perceptions?
I don't. I
Case
don't. I
of a car, like I think
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
60% or 70% of the car energy is wasted.
right.
Probably
Okay.
in an electric car, it's 80% is not wasted. So you're
Hmm.
using it more
mm-hmm.
efficient.
Okay. So actually, I think we have the answer to the question now, Andreas. I mean, we're feeling good about something. If nobody announced it, nobody would ever know. I mean, the product itself is saving the earth, saving the trees, making sure that future generations. Now, what's the relationship between the actual pollution and the purchase of of carbon offsets? Andreas, I'm
Yeah.
asking you that. Is it still going on? I mean, does it really reduce it?
It mitigates it somehow, yes.
Okay.
I think it does reduce it.
Yeah.
Okay. Last time Llewellyn had a tough time with the bottom line numbers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm trying to be Llewellyn here, and just ask, okay, you know, I know your customer is, and I know that what we're doing for the earth, and I know that's all a good thing. So everything, all carbon credits, there's nothing negative about it. Period. That's the way I look at it.
in my sector and particular in particular type of projects, I don't feel there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I
I mean,
cannot find something that anyone could disagree with.
right. It's a good. Nobody would say, right, we don't need this. Nobody would
We
say,
don't need those trees. Cut them
we don't
down.
need those.
I feel nobody can say that.
Nobody would say, we don't want that. So you have no competition. Well, you have competition,
Yeah, of
but
course.
the industry itself does not have to worry about being taken out by AI. Now, I want to get back to the AI question that I wrote down that Andreas asked earlier. The way your business is set up now, all the employees that you have, and I'm not sure about this. How does AI relate to big data and the environment? I mean, the measurement of what's in the air. Where are we now with AI and that measurement, so that you can sit there and you can say, like we sort of do with the earth and the rain and the weather channel, and say, we now have AI, all robot, all a satellite, all modeled of where carbon credits are now on the earth. You know, you see these satellite pictures, right? And those kind of things. How are you going to use AI in your industry?
In that regard,
Collect data.
most of we are planning on having this let's say cloud model that will simulate the real life project. So we'll have like a digital twin, and all that data is going to be brought into a program that will simulate exactly what's on the project in the cloud. So for sure, there's gonna be an integration through AI, because it's so much data that there's no other way to make it in real time if it's not through a computer-based program. Probably
Right.
makes sense to use AI from the start.
So the digital twin itself can predict infinity, you know, what we will look
Can
like 30 years from now, what we look like 100 years from now, and
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
but it will
Okay.
give you a on-time view also, which is more important, because looking back, you're always in the past. But if you can actually look at the moment, then you'll have an advantage.
Right. So I think that's good stuff. Now, my final question I have written down, I had gone and done my homework, is there enough advertising to the general public about carbon credits? I don't see a lot of it.
Yeah.
Why is that,
There's
Andre? Why is that, Jose?
because it's a very complicated concept. Even if it's advertised, probably could go unseen. But to answer your
Sure.
question, probably there should be more advertisement into education of the concept.
Okay.
Correct. Totally.
Andre, I mean, if it's so important for the earth, why we don't see it on television? Why is it not advertised all the time? I know it's complicated. What's going on there? Is it?
I think you know, like ESG is now being advertised. They used to be advertising not too long ago about, you know, sort of energy efficiency of buildings and things like that. It's kind of disappeared. I think it's because it's not tangible. It's not, you know, it's just how do you get your hands around it, right? So
Yeah. I mean, do you just come on and say, let's save the planet, buy carbon, make sure that your employees are buying carbon, credits?
yeah. I mean, I'm sure if somebody did, you know, like there is insurance advertising on TV, right? I am sure that if somebody wanted to go retail, then the key is that, right? Because today that industry is primarily business to business, And so it's only 20 or 30 companies or maybe 100 companies that buy that. So
Right.
it's not a large audience, right? And so you don't need to, the mass media is not the right media for that, right? So.
Well, how do we do it? I mean, do it in schools? Do we?
Well, I think there is clearly a consciousness that needs to be created. I mean, the Europeans on this are farther ahead than we are about the environment and being energy efficiency and conserving water, and it's a cultural thing, you know. America and South America and developing countries kind of don't care about any of this stuff really. So,
Wait a minute, stop
But
right there.
but I'm gonna
I
tell
mean,
you one
that's
thing there
pretty
that I
wild to
think.
have your guess and you tell a guess nobody really cares about your industry. What's going on here?
For what he's saying regarding the Europeans are way ahead, but they are way ahead on polluting too. So that's why they came to that realization. Because if you go to any country in South America, probably the pollution there is nothing compared to the Europeans. They're 80-90% of the land is untouched. It's it's being touched right now, but it's like it's way more green than what it is in Europe. So till they get to that level where they are in Europe, they will not even realize it because they're still very, very protective of their environment
Yeah, but
Yeah.
compared
you
to
gotta
other
pick on
industrialized
Andrea.
countries.
Andreas said, they really don't care about stuff like this. Come on now, you gotta come back at Andreas now. Come on. What, what is he talking about? What is Andreas talking about there?
No, he was saying that the South Americans don't care about it, and I think they do. I think they're just not there yet. They haven't polluted enough
Yeah,
to see it,
to feel the problem.
to feel the
right.
problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And of
Yeah, I mean,
course,
I
you
think
can't
it's
think about how your hair looks when you're drowning. Also, like there's so you have to pay attention to what you're doing in the moment to save yourself, and then if you have time, then you figure it out.
Wow. Okay. Well, I just thought that was pretty interesting. So there is some variation in culture stuff, And so what you're saying is that, hey, the greater the polluters in Europe, that's why they have such a concern with it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's a good test of a proposition. The greater solution, the greater pollution, right? The greater they pay for for carbon credits, right?
Right.
So do you see the industry growing or people getting into the business that's doing what you're doing? Is it pretty flat? Do people go into the business and drop out? I mean,
No,
other
I
companies.
am sure that the business is gonna grow. That it's gonna grow exponentially, just because the new laws that are put in place will force all the polluters to buy the carbon credits. So they
Uh-huh.
have no choice but to buy the carbon credits. There's even countries like Australia that the CEO will go to jail if he doesn't buy the carbon
Oh, wow.
credits. So it's getting worse and worse for the companies to obligate them to actually buy the carbon credit. So I'm sure this has no other way to go but up. The
You
demand, I
know,
mean.
we have that in regular companies. That is, regular companies have always had what we call, I don't know, corporate responsibility. So if
Yes.
you make lots and lots of profit, you're expected to support the Boys and Girls Club. You're expected to support the Veterans Administration. So there's a lot of built-in stuff, even with my startups that I do. So for example, with my last startup we did clean water in Africa, right? Or
Mhm.
you might want to do something to give to a school, right? So that was always something built into the entrepreneur spirit of America. I mean, just look at the Rockefellers. They tried to give it all away. Look at the Fords, what they've done with the Ford Foundation.
Mhm.
Look at the Gates Foundation. Look at all these foundations that's really, if you did an analog, it would be sort of carbon credits, for what we've done so that you can do great stuff in the future.
Yeah.
So I think one way of advertising it is advertising like Rockefeller Center, advertising like the Ford Foundation, advertising like the Gates Foundation. You know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
you know, if I'm quote polluting, putting a lot of carbon out there, I'm also doing a lot of good, and I think that's what it's based on.
And many big companies are doing that. They use that as
Yeah.
part of their publicity.
Right. Yeah, I think so too. I think so. So it becomes very, very interesting to look at it in the context of industry, and I think that's where Llewellyn was having a problem. You look at it in the context of industry and how it is interacting with the world on doing good, you know.
Right.
So we would say we could put up with the automobile, you know, and in addition to that, the profits for that is doing good from the Ford Foundation and then the Rockefeller Center and those kind of things because, you know, although automobiles might pollute, hey, but look what we're doing for the good of the general public
Mhm.
also. I like that.
Oh, and everybody should be doing what they know how to do best.
Yeah,
So if you can expect an automobile company to be doing their carbon projects,
right.
they should be doing very good automobiles, and with the profits of that, paying somebody that knows how to do very good preservation projects.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's efficient. It's
Right.
all about the energy efficiency that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's right. I think that's a good way. Andres, maybe that gets around the question as to how can you advertise it?
Yeah, yeah. I don't think that anybody has ever done it, that I
Well,
know.
another Butler solution to the problems of the world. We're gonna create foundations around carbon credits so that can also give to the foundations themselves to help it out. Yeah, and then I think that'll be good. What do you think, Andreas?
Yeah,
Through
that
tokenization,
sounds
you can do that easily.
Yeah,
that
okay, well
sounds great.
we'll call it the Butler Foundation this time.
There you go.
The Butler idea. Okay.
Yeah, why not?
So I want another question here. Do you see some other enterprises coming off of what you're doing? Other kinds
Somewhat
of business enterprises?
Are there any other businesses
like
emerging to either
Emerging
be
from
a
what you're
service
doing.
provider or adding anything to what you're doing?
yes, there are carbon contractors, which are like inside companies that will actually take their hands-on approach in the projects. So let's say there has to be a firewall built to preserve this area of the forest. So they
Uh-huh.
need to, because they know that there's a lot of fires in the area, so they need to do this firewall. Well, then there's carbon contractors that will go and do and maintain that firewall.
Mm-hmm.
So they have their own personnel, they have their own companies in the country that we're doing the project. So it's way more efficient to have that team there that we just subcontract than actually doing it ourselves and bringing people over to do something locally.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that type of business, yes, that's one of the business that can come out of these projects.
Mm-hmm.
Makes
And I
sense.
think that's very, very important because we like to have spin-offs and then it gets sort of incorporated in the training and the consciousness of people as they move through, as they sort of move through life. Yeah.
There's also platforms. The exact thing that we were talking about, the buying the carbon credit in the airline, you can actually
Mm-hmm.
have a platform that does that for the airline. So the airline doesn't have to actually promote the buying of the carbon credits. They can just like put a link there and they go directly to the platform where the carbon credits are being sold directly from the producer of the carbon credit directly to the end client.
Mm-hmm.
So you cut the middleman, and there's more profit being made for the project, which translates into more conservation.
Right. Yeah, I think that's very, very good because what I'm trying to get to here into our consciousness about your industry and what it means, for other industries. And I think we've answered that this time.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, I think we've answered that this time. So when as you look to the future with everything that's happening, how do you see it in terms of your business for the next 10 years? Will it change tremendously? Will it be wiped out, or what do you see for the next 10 years? If I can ask that.
Well, when we do projections, we normally do our projections to 30 years. So we do need to have that
Yeah.
Long-term view.
long-term view. And what we normally have seen, and this is not us saying it, it's like the information that we get from like United Nations and all the stakeholders that are part of this projects, is that the price of the carbon credits will easily tenfold in the next 20 years.
Wow.
Easily. And I'm being very conservative, very, very conservative. So there is a place to grow, because if you have that amount of money streaming in, then you can find intelligent ways to produce more carbon credits. Because
Right.
maybe some right now they're not feasible for some reason. Maybe in 3 years it's gonna be super feasible to do it.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's good stuff.
So,
Yeah.
so for now, we can imagine what it could be now, but maybe in 5 years I'll tell you, no, we're now doing something totally different, because it's even better to save this part of the planet, even though before we couldn't even think about it. Now we can.
Okay. So you think that the planet is in good shape. It's going to be in good shape 10 years from now because of your efforts.
No,
And
it's like there has to be a conglomerate of efforts, and I think the most important part is always consciousness.
okay.
Like when I see, let's say when Amazon sends me packages, the amount of plastic and cardboard that is produced in 3 or 4 orders, it's mind-blowing. So until we start being conscious of the spending or the polluting, we won't be able to catch up with the other part. We will mitigate it, but the effort has to come from the source in some way to actually clean the planet completely. If that's the question you're asking.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, in other words, what we like to say is that with this enterprise that I have, most enterprises don't last that long. So that's what I find unique about yours. I mean, Schumpeter said, a good enterprise, the only I can tell you about the future is that it would be obsolete. It would be replaced, whether it's going from horse and buggies to automobiles, from typewriters to computers. But I think you'll be here a long time.
I am sure that I'll be here a long, long time.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's what we're aiming for.
Yeah,
and that's
right. Everybody
why
does. So did
we
Blockbuster. Yeah.
no, there's things that might change. Like I agree with that, but conservation efforts probably won't change that much.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Very, very good. And I think that wow. I mean, you're there, and you're doing good, and great for the planet. Yep. Great for the planet.
Absolutely.
I'm very happy with what I'm doing, so that's comforting.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I mean. You feel confident about what you're doing. Yes.
Yeah. So Jose, real quick, what is this looking like? In terms of how do you see this evolving? You are you have a portfolio of offerings globally. You have, land mostly outside the US. You're probably trying to close something in the US as well. And the number of customers will continue to grow. What do you think is there any specific turning point? Is there any specific, the Paris Accord, reversing the Paris Accord hurts? What are the things that you think will happen here in the race of China versus the US, globalization, production, everybody buying things from Amazon, you get a package that has 1,000 wrappers. What do you think is going to happen here?
I think that the trajectory that we're on is very hard to steer from. So I don't think that in the near future, unless something catastrophic happens, the world will change that much.
Mm-hmm.
So at least not for the good. So whatever's happening right now, it will probably keep happening, polluting wise.
Mm-hmm.
So either we start doing like we start growing in the efforts to mitigate that pollution and counteract what's being done, or we'll just pollute faster, which would be awful for the planet.
Can you
Mm-hmm.
pollute faster? I mean, is there a possibility to
To
pick up
pollute
the
faster,
average
yeah, of
pollutant
course.
cycle?
Yeah. Oh, I feel like the population is aging and I think we're gonna start living for longer. Very soon you'll see the numbers go up. I'm sure that at least in my generations, we probably will live 140, 150 years with that new.
Wow. You don't want to do that.
I want to do that. I do want to do that. If you're having fun in your life, why wouldn't you want to do that?
Well, because everything starts to repeat itself.
No, if you have 150 years to live, if you want to be a doctor tomorrow, then you start studying. 10 years is nothing. You start
No,
living a new life. You're now a doctor. You study 10
That's
years,
right.
15
I
years,
agree.
and
I
now
agree. I
you're
agree. I
30
agree.
years into being a doctor. Then I don't like being a doctor anymore. Then you're an engineer, and then you change. I'm not saying
That's
you have to
great.
live 150 years doing the same thing.
I agree. I
That's
agree.
not, that's a lot of Little League baseball games for children and grandchildren. That's all I
Well,
can. That's a
don't
lot of
have too
little.
many kids.
That is a lot of Little League baseball games. So because it's pretty wild to me because what I study all the time is how enterprises change, creative destruction, disruption, job creation, uh, what it's called, the sociology behind the enterprises, and the carbon credit stuff has not received the I don't know the credit that it deserves. Uh, and neither has what companies have done, in supporting 501(c)s in America. And I see that in the same tradition, just doing good. The question is, what are you doing good? And I think as you move forward, then we see more of the goodness on the side of question, on what companies really do. What IBM has really done well, what Dell has done very well, what in terms of giving, and we call it giving back. But your giving back is constant as we go through the whole lifespan of all companies, not just one companies.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's very, very good, Andreas. Yeah.
Totally.
Hmm.
Totally. So, Jose, what's in front of Globusterra the next 6 months? Any
Uh,
activities? What's going
yes,
on?
we're in the verge of we're shovel ready to start a project in Mexico,
Okay.
and well, we're doing everything to make it happen this year
Hmm.
to start it.
Okay.
All right.
So we're very excited about it, and we'll soon have bigger news or more precise news regarding that.
Sure.
And once we start that, the near future would be to um, to start the PDDs project for in Latin America, two countries that were starting, Ecuador and Peru. But that's like in the back burner right now, waiting for the one in Mexico to start.
Got it.
Well, good stuff. So you're feeling good and doing good, and really you're running under the radar. You know that, don't you? You're really running under the radar, and I think that as you run under the radar, you're doing great things. And you know, if Andreas, let me ask you this: is when you look at your research, we've concluded that it does great good. What do you see, Andreas?
Related to
I mean, the perceptions. I just
carbon
think
credits?
that there's a lot of perceptions there. It's
I
one of
think,
those
I
things
think,
that
I
people
think,
care
I
about
think,
that's very important, but just don't think about.
I think that what's missing is the sort of the endorsement of industry as it relates to the carbon footprint of everything that we consume. I think eventually, you know, Walmart and Amazon have probably the two companies that have the most power on this. If they were to demand the tracking of the carbon footprint of everything they sell, and then be able to put that on a label so that you could see that, you know, in order for me to have this box of cereal, 10 tons of carbon were created versus this other box of cereal that has even better vitamins, better ingredients, and has, you know, half of the carbon footprint.
They do have something with like that. You can when you buy two or three stuff in your cart, it will ask you if you want them to be delivered all together or as they go.
Correct.
So what they should do is explain what does that really mean. Because if I think, okay, if I do this, there's one more tree being planted, then I say, okay, I'll wait for that because it makes sense. But if it's just, oh, be green, put everything together, that doesn't like fill my heart, you know.
Right.
But if I actually see what I'm actually doing, and
Yeah.
it's like, okay, we didn't cut this branch of a tree just for that to happen. Okay, I don't want it Monday. It's okay if you send it on Thursday.
Great.
I will do it immediately.
Okay.
I agree with that.
Immediately, right away.
I agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think people are just unaware of what it, you know, what's behind the curtains on, you know, me getting from Germany to Russia or driving across the country or, you know, being a fan of, you know, whatever Formula One or if people understood that better, then I think that would change behavior.
Yes. And that's why I say we have to start with the polluter somehow.
Correct. Yeah, that's why I think that a distribution company that doesn't make the goods, but it delivers the goods could create some rating system that, you know, I don't know if you guys are familiar with an application that um, I got introduced to by my best friend, and this application is called Yuka. And you can point this application, it has a scanner for barcodes, and it tells you the content of that box in terms of nutritional content. So it's for, you know, you know, foods, and it just blows you away because it has an analysis. They have done an analysis. They have a database of the ingredients and all this and that. And so the next level would be, you know, the carbon footprint to create that thing, right? So I think eventually some startup, Johnny, will create the easy way of dealing with that, and then that would be how it happens.
Okay. Okay.
It all boils down to startups and entrepreneurs, doesn't it?
Right. And I think, I'm thinking on the AI stuff, where
Yeah,
there's a constant board somewhere where it flashes all the time, just like the stock market. I'm waiting for
correct,
that. Yeah. I
correct,
think that can
correct.
be done. Yeah.
Yeah,
Where you have the measures of the planet, you know, in some measurable ways, that's always constant for the consumer, for people who live here. Yeah. And I think that'll be real good.
yeah. There are some trackers, pollution trackers. Here, I'll show you guys real quick.
I understand the pollution stuff, but
Yeah,
the relationship between carbon credits and pollution, yeah.
yeah. So this is interesting because there are some kind of, I don't know, you call them calculators or whatever, but there are some pollution trackers out there. Uh, this guy's here now.
Do we have one on carbon credits? Carbon.
Stage. You put your zip code and it shows you where you are. This is so there. Let's see, carbon.
But that's air quality, right?
Yeah, it's
I know there's a reduction.
climate change. There's a bunch of things, experimental things going on. I don't know. So
Yeah.
that's an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Tracking. Let me see if there's anything. Let's see. I don't see anything. This is interesting to know. Oh, the biggest polluters. There you go.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah,
Look at that footprint.
yeah. It's pretty big.
Have you seen that, Jose?
No, first time I see this.
Yeah, it's to me that's what makes it real, right? When you can watch it every day, like
Yeah.
typical carbon footprint for the year for one person is like 24 tons of carbon, and we don't, we don't track it, we don't think about it,
I agree.
but there you go. There is China, US, India. Mm. Now look at the per capita emissions, really fascinating. The Virgin Island people produce more per person than anywhere else. So the emission per person is pretty high in different geographies versus the cumulative. Obviously, industrial is not per person, right? So that's why. But
Yeah.
But Virgin Islands seems like has to do with banking or something like
well,
that.
it's just that, if the Virgin Islands is trying to have the same standard of living of the mainland, then they need to burn a lot of diesel, run the AC 24/7, so
Yeah.
divided that by the population it puts the islands in the disadvantage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they don't have the economies of scale. But anyway, fascinating stuff, Jose. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you for the
We'll keep in
invitation.
touch. We'll keep in touch and see progress. We'll have you back. Johnny, take us away.
Yes, sir. In the early morning rain, with $1 in my hand, with an aching in my heart, and my pockets are full of sand, and I'm a long way from home. and I miss my loved one so. I'm in the early morning rain with no place to go.
All right, Johnny.
Okay.
Thank you much, Jose. All the best.
Oh, they take
Pleasure.
care. And I like you adding those footprints to your webpage. Okay.
No, we do have something like that, but not that specific one.
Okay. All righty. Take care. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Bye.
Take care.